Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys, let's go. My hair's kind of crazy today, but who
This
cares?
world and stay where
Let's get started. 10 most annoying habits of American tourists in Europe. Love Walter's World. Great channel. Let's check it out.
not feel Greece. And today we're going to talk about are some of the ways American tourists annoy Europeans when they come here for a visit. And the thing is, a lot of the annoyances I'm going to talk about, these aren't things that
Don't go to Amsterdam and ride your bike like an idiot, obnoxious tourist like I did. It's not Disneyland, okay? I learned that the hard way. Let's go.
just American tourists do. These are things that tourists from all over the world do. However, since English is the de facto tourist language in Europe, it kind of gets lumped together that anybody speaking English, being annoying, must be an American. Or they could be an Italian, they could be Swiss, they could be Spanish, they could be from anywhere, okay? And I think the first kind of annoyance I want to bring up is just the being loud. And being loud, but being loud and not aware of your surroundings. Nobody cares if you're loud when you're on the beach, you're having a good time, or you're at a club. No, no, no. It's when you're at a restaurant and you're like shouting your love for Athens or how uncomfortable the beds were at that hotel, and you're just being loud. Like, that's just it. When you go around Europe, you'll notice there's not a lot of loud people.
I can already hear a response from some Americans, not all, okay? I'm one single American, right? But of being like, what? I can't just enjoy myself? No, just don't be obnoxious. Like Americans in a restaurant, like, oh, haha, oh, that thing was awful. And then, they'll think they're just being polite. Oh, hey, where are you? How are you from? Or where are you? How are you from? How are you? Where are you from? And it's just body language and the way I swear, these shouldn't need to be tips. You should just know not to do this. I think Americans' reputations precede them, and so when they come to Europe, and sometimes often reinforce those ideas, that you already come across as someone who's very, America-centric, doesn't think about the rest of the world. Sometimes, whether or not you think it, come across as like the world is your planet, and wherever you go, just have common sense. Be respectful. That doesn't mean you don't have to be loud. Just know when you're being disrespectful. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, when you go to Spain, there's boisterous Italians. Yes, there are those. But in general, when you're going out to eat, you're not expressing everything in 10 decibels higher than usual. And this is one thing, I know I've made this mistake too, is it seems like when we travel, our voices just get louder and louder. So
I really want to jump in the water right there.
do be aware of that, because if you're in restaurants or you're out and about or you're at museums, you want to kind of tone down the volume because that annoys people, and especially if you're on public transportation. I mean, there's trains in many countries here in Europe that actually have a quiet train where you're not supposed to talk. And so if you hop on and start talking on your phone, or even better, talk on your phone with a speakerphone, yeah, that's a bonus annoyance anywhere in the world. If you talk on the speakerphone, please don't do that.
It's another thing that, by the way, guys, is this spaghetti bolognese?
Tone down the volume because that annoys people.
Or I would have just called this spaghetti with meat sauce. But bolognese sounds so much more
if you
fancy.
have a quiet or talk on your phone with a speakerphone, yeah, that's a bonus annoyance anywhere in the world. If you talk on the speakerphone, please don't do that. No one else wants to hear about your constipation problem in Portugal, all right? So do be aware of that. So tone down the volume, you'll be okay. And kind of going along with that, another thing that annoys people is when you kind of complain when things don't work out exactly like you expect, or everything's not perfect, like just like it back home. That insults people, because basically what you're saying is, oh, your culture here, your country here sucks, and ours is so much better. That insult work out people because
That's beautiful. That is one of the that is up there with one of the most beautiful. I love how nonchalant this photo was. That is an amazing photo. Everything about it. Just a few lights on the upper windows, the beautiful lights along these beautiful buildings with the beautiful, I'm just using beautiful because my vocabulary needs to be expanded. Beautiful Gothic style cathedral here. What happened to this tower? Oh my God, I can't believe it was just one stock video, and
basically what you're saying is, well, your culture here, your country here sucks, and ours is so much better. And you have to realize this, you're in a new country, you're in a new place, and things do work a little bit differently. Because I have heard people complain, oh, the metros are so full. I'm like, well, yeah, you're in Paris during rush hour. People have to get to work. That's part of life. There was a video that went viral a few weeks ago.
I think a lot of people just think they're making conversation. Like, again, and so they don't realize they kind of sound obnoxious from another person's point of view. Self-reflection, I guess.
About this lady that was complaining, like, oh, they show these beautiful pictures of the Amalfi Coast, but they don't tell you how you have to take a train and then a bus and then a ferry, and then there's all these people there. Well, yeah, shocking. You have to travel, right?
You guys ever seen like those Instagram reels or TikToks or YouTube shorts of some beautiful place on Instagram, and then in reality, and Instagram, it's this beautiful shot and tweaked video with this nice music and no one there, and then it's like in reality, there's people there. It's like, oh, really? Wow, that. Am I being too smarmy right now? I'm starting to annoy myself.
Shocking. You have to travel, right? And so those kind of complaining things, that kind of annoys people when you're here. And yes, there are annoyances that annoy them. Dog poop on the street annoys everybody. But the complaining kind of thing, the kind of comparison, putting them down. And this is something that other Europeans do. I see German tourists traveling around to Portugal, Spain, or Eastern Europe, and they definitely look down their nose at them like, oh, how are these things not working like back in Germany? So it's not just an American thing, but just the complaining overall. You can complain, but keep it amongst yourselves in your hotel room. Don't be complaining to the locals.
And to be fair, I think I have the opposite problem. I'm going to attribute some to laziness. Whenever traveling somewhere, I think about all of the traveling, and then I end up not going. And that's not fun. That's lame. Nobody wants that. So I'm far from perfect.
The other way you can really annoy the locals is really basically like if you've got too much luggage or you're not being aware of your surroundings again, but in terms of space, that means blocking the metro entrance or blocking the door of the metro, or having all your luggage blocking the whole sidewalk so people can't get by. I mean, people are still living. You have to do things. And when I see tour groups that are just like literally, it's like almost like they put their arms out like this to try to take up as much of the space as possible, of course it's going to annoy people. So if you're going to be in a tour group, stand to the side. I mean, you don't get the entire street. You don't get the entire sidewalk. People need to get to work, so be aware of that, because that's why some people really, really don't like tour groups, because a lot of the tour guides, they don't care about people in that community. All they care about is making their tourists that are off from their tour from the cruise ship happy, because they're the ones that are going to tip them.
A carousel. I remember a carousel when I was a kid, and it was a bit bigger, and it kind of moved pretty quick. And as you go around, there'd be this little golden ring ejector that when you go around, you can grab it if you're on one of the outside horses. And then you get to throw it into a clown's mouth. It was fun. That just awakened a memory.
They're tourists that are off from their tour from the cruise ship happy, because they're the ones that are going to tip them, going to give them money. That's their job. So do be aware of that, because it really comes down to just being selfish. I mean, we're all selfish people. That's what it is being human. You are selfish, but when you travel, trying to tone it down a little bit, because that's going to help you blend in better, but also have a better chance of making friends when you travel. Now, another thing that you know is Europeans.
Guys, America is so ugly. I think our natural beauty is amazing in America, okay? Like a lot of the places. But our cities suck. Look at all of this beautiful cobblestone stuff and walking squares and not 80 traffic lights with car beeping.
On their tour from the cruise ship.
Well, to be fair, there's no audio, but you guys have it so good with just beautiful cities.
Because it really comes down to just being selfish. I mean, we're all selfish people. That's what it is being human. You are selfish, but when you travel, trying to tone it down a little bit, because that's going to help you blend in better, but also have a better chance of making friends when you travel. Now, another thing that you know is Europeans when you travel, and this is not
philosophy. I already paused here and rewinded. Sorry. I could talk a whole video about this. All right. Every action is a selfish one. Forget it. I would love to go on about that. But sorry, go.
Again, not just American tourists, but lots of tourists, when they wander out in the middle of the street to get that perfect picture with the Eiffel Tower or the Brandenburg Gate or wherever, and you'll see people literally like wandering out to the middle of the Champs-Elysees to get their picture like this, or to hold the Eiffel Tower, or to get the Acropolis, and they really are putting themselves in danger. Like, you realize one of the most dangerous parts of travel is car accidents. I think that's one of the, if not the highest, the number 2 highest reason why tourists get killed when they travel is car accidents. And so if you're out there trying to get that perfect picture in the middle of the street, yeah, you know what? If you're here in Greece, you're gonna die. Like, people are just gonna...
Or they're gonna cause 2 cars to crash and be like, oops, okay, honey, let's go to the restaurant.
Boom, knock you...
Am I being annoying? I feel like I'm being sort of aggressive in this video. I'm sorry about that.
Middle of the street, yeah, you know what? If you're here in Greece, you're gonna die. Like, people are
you're gonna die.
Knock you over. So don't do that, because that's what people are like, what the heck are you doing? Like, I see the locals like ripping their hair out when people are trying to walk across the circle around the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. There's stairs to go down. And that's just it. Some of these pictures you take that are dangerous, there's spots you can take it without being dangerous. There's a whole huge park behind the Eiffel Tower you can take pictures from. The Brandenburg Gate, the other side, there's actually a pedestrian square you can stand at and get your pictures. So think about those things, because you're putting yourself in danger, but also those drivers out there, you're putting them in danger too. Now, the next annoyance that happens with American tourists is when they only speak English. Now, I'm not saying Americans should speak tons of languages, because all those things that people say, well, Europeans all speak 5 or 6 languages, that's a bunch of BS. I've traveled all around Europe. I've lived around Europe. I lived here for 12 years, multiple countries. Yes, a lot of people will speak the...
Depends on who. Like, I think a lot of British and French people only speak British or French, most. But I think when you get into, you know, Germany, maybe Italy, I don't really know. Yeah, like France is an example where there are not a lot. As an English speaker, you kind of have a privilege of going to a lot of places. Sometimes I think it's a curse, because like it would be fun to know other languages. That like so many people can speak English, and a lot of people in Germany and in the Netherlands and Belgium and in the UK speak English, obviously the UK, and less so in Germany than like the Netherlands or Belgium. The Netherlands is insanely good, but France, you have to go through to get from the UK to the Belgium, Netherlands, and very, very few English speakers.
Local language and in English. But the ones that are like, oh no, they speak French and Spanish and Portuguese and German and English and Rätoromanisch and some Luxembourgish. Yeah, no, those are Luxembourgers.
Is Luxembourgish a language?
You go to Spain. Spain speak Spanish. Some speak some English. You go to Portugal. Yes, there's a lot of English there, and some Spanish, but there's not a lot of other things. You go to Italy. You're going to need to learn some Italian when you're there. So I'm not like harping on anyone for not knowing the language. It's the not trying. Because honestly, just if Haristo, which is thank you here in Greece, will go a long way. I mean, honestly.
Toilet. I remember, if you guys have heard any of my travel stories, you know what I'm saying, okay? I don't have that many travel stories, so I have to go back to like the same ones. I have my D-Day story. I have my Netherlands bike story. I have Koblenz. We were on Germany. We were on a newspaper. And then I have my French story in the restaurant. This is my French story, okay? I was in the restaurant with my dad and brother. I needed to go to the bathroom. I wanted to say it in French, so I go up to the bar and be like, hello, can I use your bathroom? Or like, where's your bathroom? Something toilet? Bonne? Anyways, I said it, and he just knew immediately. Like, he didn't hear me say anything other than my broken French, I'm sure, where I asked him for the bathroom, and he just responded in perfect English. Yeah, it's downstairs to the right. So he just knew, oh, this person he's American, or he's English. And then in Koblenz in Germany, where it was honestly one of my like most fun memories, is when we decided to go off. Like Koblenz, it's such a random town. Like we did not intend to go to like, oh, let's go to Koblenz, Germany. But it's not like a great town or anything, but it was the experience we had. We were just like, let's just find a random town on the highway and just go off and spend a night and go to a bar or whatever. And we did. And there were only 2 people in the bar. It was late at night. And the bartender was like giving me and my brother free shots if we could count to 10 in German. Eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, zehn. And then we ended up on a newspaper coverage of a small town. That was really fun. I forget did I have a point to this story? Oh yeah, the French bathroom thing. That was funny.
Honestly,
Sorry.
wherever you go, learn thank you and cheers, and everybody's gonna love you. I mean, hi, thank you, and cheers. You might get free raki or free uso here in Greece just because of that, right? So just know that trying some of those languages go a long way. Because if you just start out in English, and then a bonus upsetting people is that just speaking louder when they don't understand you, that gets things worse, okay? So just a few words, just don't know you don't speak it. By the way you say, "Haristo," thank you. Like, I say it badly, but it's close enough. They're like, look at you, funny American trying. You want some uzo? I got some for you, buddy. You need some meatloaf? I got you taken care of. Because honestly,
I sort of feel like such a child because they're like, oh, an American knows any words in another language, but I love it. I don't care. You can look at me like a child. I don't care.
It's not like it's going to cause you any fights, but these are little things you can do and be aware of so you can be a better traveler when you're here. And when you've been here, I think another annoyance you might think about is when you say, I've been to Europe, when all you've done is like a weekend in London or you spent a week in Paris. Look, it's like if you go to the U.S., someone goes to the U.S., say, oh, I've been to the U.S. I went to New York City. I went to Orlando. I'm like, yeah, New York City's cool. Orlando is Orlando, but does that truly represent
all of
Disney
World?
No, we have all kinds of different, topography, geography, people, food, all kinds of stuff. And here in Europe, it's even 10 times that because you have so many different cultures, so many different countries. So a visit to Poland is completely different than a visit to Portugal. A visit to Norway is completely different to here in Naflio. And by kind of lumping them all together, it kind of cheapens their cultural feelings and it makes you look bad. So be like, oh yeah, I've been to France, I've been to Paris, until you really explore a lot, you'll start to see, oh, there is a lot of difference. It's not just one Europe. There's a lot of different Europes out there, okay? And now another thing I think is important for those of you that are proud of your European heritage when you come here, and that is sometimes in some countries really promoting your 100% Greek.
I used to say this in the very beginning of my channel. I don't anymore. But I used to say, like, I'm Irish, I'm German, I'm English. No, I'm not. I'm not from there. Americans, I feel like especially the more east you live in America, because that's where the first colonies were, and I feel like more of your heritage. We definitely think about it maybe more than we should or other countries do.
Heritage or your 100% Irish heritage might backfire because you're coming here thinking, yes,
I'm Irish.
I'm going to the old country. I'm seeing where Yaya and Papuli were from. I'm going back to see where my grandfather, great-great-grandfather left from Dublin and how he got here. Yes, you're really proud of that. But the locals here, they do not see you as a Greek. They do not see you as an Irish, a true Irish person. They see you as someone with an Irish background that's here on vacation. Oh, you're a Greek American that's coming here to spend a month of the summer. Because I'm going to tell you right now, coming to Greece for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in the summertime on vacation, making U.S. money or Australian money or Canadian money, isn't the same thing as growing up here.
I'm a local. It's like, if someone who in Europe who like they've lived in France or Germany for like 4 generations, and maybe their parents lived in the U.S. in like 1820, and you come here and be like, I'm American. And Americans would be like, what? Well, yeah, it's the same concept.
Lived through the austerity measures in the early 2000s. It's a whole different ballgame. In Ireland, there's a lot of resentment because, like, look, just because your 5 times back generation grandparents were from Ireland doesn't mean you understand what it means to be Irish. You weren't here during the Troubles. You don't understand those things. And that can cause some resentment. Now,
well, the people in America who are Irish probably went to America because of
it's not everywhere.
The famine,
I know for me personally, you don't understand those things, and that can cause some resentment.
Why was I trying to?
I know for me personally, when I found out there's a little bit of me that was Lithuanian, I just brought it to my friends. Oh yeah, there's like 5% Lithuanian in my family, and all my Lithuanian friends were like, yes, you're one of us. And so it is different places you go, so it might be something you want to be aware of. Now, another thing that might upset Europeans, and this is the kind of, it gets to that point eventually, is one, you might notice that sometimes they'll ask you questions like, so why are so many Americans fat? Well, I am fat. It's because I have lack of self-control. That's very simple. But they'll
God damn, I love this man. Okay.
out, oh, you Americans, all you eat is fast food, all you eat is junk food. And that's not what gets them mad. What gets them mad is when you point out, you know, it's funny, when I walk by the McDonald's and the Burger Kings and the KFCs and the Taco Bells in Spain, in Portugal, in Greece, in Germany, they're not full of American tourists. They're full of Germans. They're full of Bulgarians. They're full of Maltese. It's the locals that are eating there too. And Europeans are getting a little bit more supersized, not like us supersized, but they're getting a little bit bigger too. And that sometimes irks them when you point out that, look, it's not just Americans that eat junk food. Other places do as well. Now, another thing I've seen, this is one thing, any tourist does this, it's really not a good thing, is really disrespecting monuments and disrespecting cultural heritage.
Oh my God.
In different countries, because I've been places where people are doing their duck-faced selfies in front of concentration camps. What the hell is wrong with you? Like those kind of things, or people that are playing parkour on the Jewish memorial in Berlin, and they're like, well, the artist wants it to be lived on. Really? Come on. I mean, this isn't just something American tourists do. This is something any tourist does. So be respectful when you go around. Don't be making a fool, especially in very solemn locations when there's memorials or places where people have died or battlefields. I mean, it's a very important thing for a lot of people, and it will insult people sometimes when you do that. And then as an American, I think there's one kind of important thing you need to know that will upset some Europeans no matter what you do, and that's just the fact that you're American. Look, it doesn't matter what political party you're for. It doesn't matter political parties at all. There's people that don't like what the U.S. does, and so they will take that out on you. Even if you have nothing to do with it, it's just a fact of life. So be aware of that. And that's one thing you'll see is sometimes the locals know more about politics in your country than you do. And I'm not.
So I've talked to a few people through this YouTube journey of mine, all right? 99% of them not from America, mostly from Europe. And the amount, the ratio of what you know about our politics and what most Americans know about European politics is so unbalanced, and that's got to change. I know America is a big player on the world stage, so most countries are going to want to pay attention to it. It's going to have repercussions. I understand that. I don't think that's necessarily an excuse to know so little about your allies and politics and history of other countries. Was I going to say something other than that?
On you, even if you have nothing to do with it, it's just a fact of life.
With like, you know, you're American, right? I think what will go a long way, you know, is that people are people. And I know, crazy. People are people, and as soon, like maybe before you go up to them or the first few seconds, minutes of talking or interacting with someone, they might have that, oh, American. But if you're respectful, then I think they'll be like, oh, you're fine. You're not like the stereotypical American. And I think people just want to be respected wherever you go in the world, okay? Body language, the way you talk, even without knowing the language, the way you talk, your body language says a lot. And just knowing how you come across in a respectful way, I think will fix like 9 out of 10 of these things that are pointed out in almost every travel tip video.
So be
not
aware
just
of that.
Walter's
And that's
World.
one thing you'll see is sometimes the locals know more about politics in your country than you do. And I'm not just talking to the U.S. I'm talking all around the world, from China to Brazil to wherever. And just be aware of that, because sometimes they will kind of transfer that misunderstanding, that dislike onto you as a traveler, okay? I mean, I've had people swing at me before because I was American. I don't think I'm a very bad tourist, though some people probably do, but I don't think I am. So just some things to kind of think about. And I'll be honest.
So meaning like you were in a conversation?
With you. Most of these things you're going to be doing, if you do them, no one's going to say anything. Nobody's going to think about it. And I'll be honest with you. Most of these things you're going to be doing, if you do them, no one's going to say anything. Nobody's going to care. But it might be those little differences that get people to come up and talk to you. Get up and say, hey, why did you have a drink with us? Or, hey, what are you doing here in Greece? What are you doing here in Italy? Why is some weird guy here in Lithuania? Tell us more. And that's how you get to make some really good friends when you travel. So don't think these annoyances are only things that American tourists do. These are things that lots of tourists do from all around the world, including here in Europe as well, all right? So what are some things that tourists do that annoy you when you travel around? Let us know in the comments section below, and I'll say bye from here in Knoxville, Greece.
The only thing I got really angry at was like disrespecting monuments or something like that. I think it can come down to common sense be respectful. And a lot of the times, people are just arrogant, I think, and are not respectful in that way. But a lot of the times, I think you have to see how you're reacting, and because sometimes I don't think people will realize what they're doing could come across as disrespectful. And I think this goes for any human interaction, not just tourist and local, and definitely not just tourists from America, local from France or something. You know, I feel like that would be like the clash of the titans: a French local and American tourist. Yeah, good video. Sorry if I paused too much there. Sometimes I think I apologize too much. I don't know. Love y'all. Hope you guys are all doing well. Would appreciate any comments. You guys are always good at that. Hopefully I'll see you next video. Bye, guys.